So Buster Posey is the John Lynch of the San Francisco Giants, and he just made a blockbuster trade for Rafi Devers with the Boston Red Sox. Reminds me of when Lynch himself made a trade with another New England team for the 49ers with the Patriots, acquiring Jimmy Garopppolo. That was just the first of many player trades that the 49ers have executed. So while the Giants have their moment in the sun, why don't we talk about the 49ers trade prospects moving forward, especially since they're just a couple weeks removed from a trade for Bryce Huff. Speaking of a moment in the sun, this is Tropea in Italy. Isn't this epic? Medieval town on a cliff. And I'm standing on what used to be an island, and now the sediment has filled in, so it's connected to the mainland. The Greeks built this. They say that Hercules himself built the island that I am currently standing on. So yeah, this fits for a moment in the sun. The Giants have theirs. The 49ers have had plenty of theirs. And, you know, we could even talk about potential trades that the 49ers might still make moving forward. Because if we've learned anything from following the 49ers over the course of the years, they are never done adding to the roster. 2017, it was a second-round pick from New England, Bill Belichick and the Patriots for Jimmy Garoppolo. And that trade worked out really, really well for the 49ers. They got 5+ seasons of Jimmy. Starting quarterback for that second-round pick, obviously went to the Super Bowl in 2019, gave him a new contract in 2018, a contract that was very team-flexible, team-friendly, and the 49ers were more than willing to live up to it through all of its seasons until they were able to negotiate that pay cut for the final 2022 season, which led to Brock Purdy. If we're going to look at the 49ers entire trade history under Lynch and Shanahan, we can't forget the D Ford trade, which was entering the 2019 season. This is one of the more controversial trades, and I think it's maybe one of the more misunderstood trades of the 49ers time. They sent a second-round pick to Kansas City for D Ford, and then they paid him a new contract. Obviously, he did not produce for the length of that contract for San Francisco, and it's one that they had to end up restructuring, and there was an injury guarantee in there that cost the 49ers a lot of money. But you could see, you know, at the time, and I think in retrospect, what the 49ers were trying to accomplish with D Ford. They wanted that speed rusher off the edge, and they got that speed rusher off the edge. I think that the back injuries in D Ford's past were the red flags that the 49ers ignored, that they regret ignoring, because those obviously triggered the injury guarantee, and then they weren't able to get much mileage out of D Ford. But they definitely wanted a player of his prototype on the football field, and now they have another one. Now they have Bryce Huff, who comes over with a much better bill of health than D Ford had back in 2019. And Huff obviously didn't cost nearly as much for San Francisco, coming over for that 4th-round pick. And they didn't have to give him a new contract. The D was in a totally different price stratosphere for San Francisco, but they do have that speed edge rusher to try to fill the puzzle next to Nick Bosa, who's now a grizzled veteran. Back in 2019, when the 49ers traded for Ford, it was a situation where they needed to supplement the, bookend. Nick Bosa was a rookie in 2019. So the rookie Bosa paired with Ford, when both of those guys were healthy at the start of that season, the 49ers pass rush roared. And they haven't quite had a get-off guy like D Ford since then. And that's, not saying much, because D was so damn fast off the line of scrimmage. It's going to be hard to find somebody who can replicate that speed. But I think they might finally have that again with Bryce Huff. 2020 saw the 49ers go to Jordan Willis. And then obviously 2019, Emmanuel Sanders, 4th and 5th round pick swap for San Francisco, the receiver to push the 49ers over the top. 2020, Jordan Willis, that was a 7th round pick swap that led to NFC playoff heroics. Jordan Willis is the one who had the blocked field goal and the blocked punt for the 49ers in the game against the Green Bay Packers. That was out in the snow at Lambeau Field. And then, of course, 2021, Charles Omenihu. Omenihu turned out to be a good bookending pass rusher for Nick Bosa. Doesn't have quite the speed rush that players like Dee Ford and Bryce Huff have, but I would say that Charles Omenihu is a complete defensive end, especially before the ACL tear. He gave the 49ers a nice developing presence on the opposite side of that defensive line. And, you know, the last time that this was a really, really powerful D-line for the 49ers, Charles Omenihu was on it. So you could certainly say that that trade was worth it in 2021. He was very inexperienced at the time. He picked up his experience under Chris Kasarik, and you can bet that a lot of the success that Charles Omenihu brought to the table as he developed with the 49ers makes them optimistic and bullish that somebody like Bryce Huff, who has fit so well under Robert Saleh already, can do so again for San Francisco. Of course, the crown jewel trade, I think that this one is very obvious. The crown jewel trade has been Christian McCaffrey in that 2022 season. Christian, second round pick, third round pick, fourth round pick, fifth round pick. Pricey, but oh boy, has it been worth it for the 49ers. A transformational player. I think that the Giants hope that they could get a similar impact from Rafi Devers now. I know it's a different sport, but Devers, power hitter, somebody that a team lacking offense needs. The 49ers needed one more player to unlock their offense in 2022. Kyle Shanahan talked about it at the time. He thought that the spacing could improve with Christian McCaffrey. He thought that the adaptability, the pressure that the 49ers put on opposing defenses could improve, and he was right in that 2022 season. Christian made an immediate impact for San Francisco, and I think that a lot of fans, after they saw that trade and they saw that the 49ers are willing to be more aggressive than probably any other team in the league through the trade market. They've done so much under Lynch and Shanahan. They're always excited for what might be next, and they've been active every single year. 2023, Chase Young, that didn't really yield too many dividends for the 49ers. He was good in his first game, but he just was very poor against the run. Exposed in that NFC Championship game against the Detroit Lions, and unfortunately for San Francisco, I think that might be one that they want to have back, although the Chase Young trade was a precursor to the Bryce Huff trade. They've been looking for a Bosa bookend for a while, and maybe this year they've got that bookend, at least in those third down pass rushing situations. The thing is that they used all those draft picks this year on run stoppers up front, and that definitely is a byproduct of the run struggles of the past couple years. Chase Young has been part of those run defense struggles for San Francisco, going back to that low effort play against the Detroit Lions. Last year, the 49ers also were able to make a very last second pre-deadline trade. They got Khalil Davis from the Texans. He's no longer with them. That was just a seventh round pick. That was very late in the draft. They took a flyer on a defensive tackle who had been in their system because he was under D'Amico Ryans over in Houston. But of course, that obviously, you take those swings in the seventh round to see what you might have. You might like the player's get off. You might like some of the attributes up front, but it obviously didn't work out. So those are the swings that the 49ers have taken. We look at the swing that the Giants just took. We wonder if San Francisco might add somebody else here as we move into the 2025 dead period in the summer. I wouldn't expect anybody via the trade market over the course of the next 40 days, but 49ers have been active in the past. Over training camp, they've traded guys away over the course of training camp. I still remember Vance McDonald in 2017, the tight end out the door when George Kittle won that battle. I still remember them trading the linebacker Jonas Griffith when they had a surplus at that position. And then over the course of the season before the deadline, they've been active in almost every single Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch season. We don't know exactly how the season is going to play out for the 49ers. That receiver, will somebody like Brandon Ayuk come back full force for the 49ers, and will he be back in his old ex-receiver role, taking over football games, or at least presenting a great downfield threat by the time the trade deadline hits? If not, Is Kendrick Bourne, a familiar name at receiver, an option? Somebody who might cost the 49ers around $3.5 to $4 million at the time of the trade deadline. They have added a veteran receiver in the past in Emmanuel Sanders about midstream, so something that I wouldn't put past the 49ers. Another spot where they're probably a little bit lacking, but who knows? We'll see how Evan Anderson develops. We did the big video on Evan the other day, but another spot where they're a little bit lacking might be that defensive tackle position for the 49ers, where I think they could still use another pass rusher, and I think that's what Evan Anderson might be able to give the 49ers, a nice pass rushing presence at defensive tackle. But if they can't find the type of pass rusher that they're looking for at that spot, and they feel that they're a little bit short at that position, and they've got a chance to make a run at the Super Bowl this year, then you could start looking for game-changing defensive tackles at the trade deadline. This is why the 49ers maintain as much cap space as possible. They've got a lot of room, for about $40 million of room, so you can absorb any potential contracts when the time comes. And DeForest Buckner is a funny name to toss around, because I think that would bring everything full circle. DeForest traded away back in 2020 by San Francisco for cap reasons. He's with the Colts now, but remember, he's worked with the 49ers, and he's also worked with Gus Bradley, who's with the Colts, who love DeForest Buckner. If Indianapolis isn't any good, 2 more years for DeForest left on his deal. It cost about $6.5 million around the trade deadline this season, half of his $13 million salary. Just tossing fun names out there. Kendrick Bourne, DeForest Buckner. The Giants have made a move for Devers. The 49ers have made moves in almost every single season. So why not have some fun with all that trade talk?